Welcome to our deep dive. We're tackling Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People.
A classic.
Published way back in 1937.
Yeah, still a bestseller today.
And for good reason.
Yeah.
It's packed with timeless wisdom.
About human relationships.
You know, what's fascinating is that it came straight from Carnegie's own teaching experience.
Oh, really?
He was teaching adults.
Okay.
And he saw firsthand that people were craving practical advice on how to just connect with each other better.
Makes sense.
So he went out and interviewed a whole bunch of super successful people.
Oh, wow.
From all walks of life. You know, big business leaders, inventors.
Really?
Even politicians and celebrities.
Fascinating.
Figure out what made them so good at building relationships.
So it's not just some theory in a vacuum.
Right.
It's based on real-world observations
Yes.
of what actually works.
Yeah.
And then Carnegie, he took all of that and kind of distilled it into these actionable principles.
Absolutely. And organized them really well.
Yeah.
So smart. Well, should we jump into part one then?
Let's do it. Part one is all about what he calls fundamental techniques in handling people.
Okay. I like that the bedrock
Yeah, like the foundation.
of positive interactions.
Yeah.
Right? So let's unpack that a little bit.
Sure.
The first principle that really jumped out at me was don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Which, I mean, on the surface,
Yeah.
seems like kind of obvious advice, right?
You think so?
Like, oh, be nice.
Right. Common sense.
But Carnegie really dives into the why behind it.
He does, the psychology.
The psychology of it, yeah.
Exactly.
So it's not just about being polite.
No.
There's a deeper reason.
It's about effectiveness, really.
Yeah.
He starts by highlighting how ineffective criticism actually is.
Okay.
Like, it often backfires,
Oh.
makes people defensive, less likely to change.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and he uses this really striking example, a notorious criminal named Crowley.
Crowley.
Now, Crowley, despite all the terrible things he did, still believed, genuinely believed, that he had a good heart.
Wow.
And that illustrates, you know, even people who do bad things,
Yeah.
they often justify their actions in their own minds.
They have a reason. Yeah.
They do. They have a whole narrative.
Right.
So even if we think we're being helpful with our criticism,
Right, right.
the person on the receiving end
Yeah.
might not see it that way at all.
Totally. It could even make things worse.
Absolutely. They might double down, dig in their heels.
Wow, that's a good point.
Yeah. So instead of criticizing,
Okay.
Carnegie suggests, you know, trying to understand where the other person is coming from.
Walk a mile in their shoes.
Exactly. He even says, you know, try honestly to see things from the other person's point of view.
Yeah.
Which doesn't mean we have to agree with them.
Right.
But it helps us to approach the situation with more empathy.
I love that. More empathy.
Right.
Okay, so that leads us to the next principle,
Okay.
which is all about giving honest and sincere appreciation.
Such a good one.
Yeah, and I feel like this is something we could all use a little more of, right?
Couldn't agree more.
Just in our lives in general.
The world needs more of it.
It does.
Yeah.
And Carnegie argues that appreciation is just this powerful motivator.
It is. It really is.
He even shares an anecdote.
I love his anecdotes.
I know, they're so good. About a husband who learned to appreciate his wife instead of criticizing her.
Right.
And it totally transformed their relationship.
Yeah, for the better.
For the better, much better.
Yeah.
So inspiring. But how do we make sure that our appreciation is genuine, you know?
Right.
That it doesn't come across as like fake flattery.
Oh, that's a great question, a really important distinction.
Right.
Because there's a big difference.
Huge.
Carnegie, he distinguishes between the two.
Okay.
Flattery is insincere, it's manipulative.
Right.
Whereas genuine appreciation
Yeah.
comes from recognizing someone's true worth, their effort.
It's heartfelt.
It's heartfelt. It's about seeing their strengths and celebrating them.
Right. It's about being specific too. Right?
Yes. Not just a general good job,
Yeah.
but calling out what you genuinely value in that person.
Yeah, like, hey, I was really impressed with how you handled that difficult client.
Exactly.
You were so patient and understanding.
Right. You're showing you're paying attention.
That's the key.
And that your appreciation is real.
Now, the third principle in this section
Okay.
really grabbed my attention. Arouse in the other person an eager want.
This one's a favorite.
I know, it's so good, but it's a little bit like manipulative sounding at first.
It does. It has that ring to it.
Yeah, like, what are we doing?
Right. Are we playing mind games?
But when you actually understand what Carnegie means,
Yeah.
it makes a lot of sense.
It clicks.
It clicks, totally.
It's about understanding, really, human motivation.
Okay.
So Carnegie's arguing that people are way more likely to do something if they actually want to do it.
Of course.
rather than being forced or pressured.
Makes sense.
So instead of imposing our will,
Right.
we're trying to tap into what they already desire.
Work with their existing desires. Yeah.
Yeah, and show them how our ideas actually align with their interests.
It reminds me of that story he tells about Emerson
Oh,
and
yeah.
his son trying to get this calf into the barn.
A classic.
Classic story, right? They're pushing and pulling.
Struggling.
The calf is not budging.
Stubborn calf.
Stubborn calf. And then the housemate comes along
And saves the day.
and figures out what the calf wants,
The magic solution.
which is to suck on her finger.
Of course.
And then she can just gently lead the calf into the barn.
Brilliant.
It's such a good example because it shows that understanding
Yeah.
another person's perspective and what they want
Your desires, yeah.
is crucial for cooperation.
For getting them to move in the direction you want them to go.
Carnegie also talks about how he once negotiated a lower hotel rent.
Oh, interesting.
And it wasn't by arguing with the manager,
Oh.
but by appealing to what the manager wanted,
Clever.
which was stable income.
Mm-hmm.
And he showed him how keeping the rent lower
Yeah.
would actually be more profitable in the long run
Long-term thinking.
because it would encourage tenants to stay longer.
Yeah. Keep those rooms filled.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
And there's also that part where he compares two letters,
Oh, yeah, the letters.
one focused on the sender's needs
Self-centered.
and the other focused on the recipient's needs.
Putting the other person first.
And the one that focused on the recipient's needs
Yeah.
was way more successful
Or more effective.
because it resonated.
Right.
It made them want to respond favorably.
It's about what they want to hear, not just what we want to say.
Exactly. So we've covered these three powerful principles for handling people.
We have.
Don't criticize, but appreciate.
Oh, okay.
Understand what the other person wants
Yeah.
and show them how to get it.
Beautifully put.
These are such simple ideas,
They are deceptively simple.
but they can make such a huge difference
They really can.
in all of our interactions.
Yeah, and they're just the beginning.
This is just the tip of the iceberg, right?
It is the foundation.
Oh, man, I'm excited.
Why too?
Ready for part 2.
Lead the way. I can't wait to explore those 6 ways to make people like you.
Let's do it. Okay, part 2. Carnegie lays out 6 ways to make people like you.
This is where the rubber meets the road.
It really is. It's about building those genuine connections
Yeah, those human connections.
that make life richer, more fulfilling.
And he's not talking about tricks
No,
or manipulation.
it's not about that surface level stuff.
No, he's all about sincerity,
Okay.
building relationships that benefit both sides.
Mutually beneficial. I like it.
Yeah, win-win.
So the first principle here
Yeah.
is to become genuinely interested in other people.
Simple but profound.
I know, right?
It's easy to overlook.
It is.
But he makes a really compelling case.
He does. He even brings up his dog, Tippy,
Oh, yeah, Tippy the dog.
as an example.
Love that story.
So Tippy was the most popular dog in the neighborhood
Everybody loved Tippy.
because he was genuinely happy to see everyone.
Tail wagging, full enthusiasm.
No judgment.
None.
No playing favorites.
Just pure joy.
Just pure, unconditional love for everyone.
And it's like Tippy understood
Yeah.
that everyone has a story.
Right.
And he was eager to hear it.
And it was present.
Present, yeah.
And that's a great way to put it because this principle,
Yeah.
it's not just limited to our furry friends.
Right. It applies to humans, too.
It does. Carnegie talks about the magician Thurston.
Oh, Thurston, the famous magician.
Does love to mesmerize audiences
Yeah, with his illusion.
with his illusions, but also with his genuine interest in people.
He connected with the audience.
He did. He'd spend time before his shows
Really?
chatting with people,
Wow.
asking about their lives.
He wasn't just on
No.
when the curtain went up.
It was genuine.
He cared about the people.
Yeah, so it's about that genuine human connection.
It's about seeing people, not just an audience.
And that leads to deeper relationships, right?
Absolutely. More satisfying interactions.
Carnegie even tells that story about the sales rep
Oh, yeah, the sales rep.
who kept a key client
By building relationships, right?
by building relationships with everybody
With everyone.
at the company,
Even the receptionist.
even the soda clerk, everyone.
Mark.
So those seemingly small interactions
Yeah.
can add up to something really powerful.
It's a ripple effect.
It is. And it's a reminder that everyone we encounter has value.
Everyone deserves our attention.
Okay, so speaking of simple but powerful gestures,
Okay.
Carnegie's next principle is to smile.
The power of a smile.
It seems so basic,
It does.
but there's so much behind it.
A lot of science, actually.
There is, right?
About why smiling works.
That's like a universal language.
It is, of kindness, warmth.
It puts people at ease.
Instantly.
I've noticed when someone smiles at me,
Yeah.
I just can't help but smile back.
It's contagious.
It is.
Carnegie tells that story about the baby's smile.
Oh, I love that one.
Transforming the whole atmosphere.
In the vet's waiting room.
It's like it shifted everything.
It did. It went from tense to this warm, friendly space.
Just from a baby's smile.
It's amazing what a small gesture can do.
It really is.
Not just about feeling good, though.
No.
Smiling can actually make you more successful.
It can.
Carnegie mentions the manager who landed a top candidate.
Oh, yeah, over the phone.
Over the phone.
Because his smile came through.
Wow, that's incredible.
The power of a smile.
So a smile can even help you in those professional settings.
Absolutely. It conveys warmth, enthusiasm.
Approachability.
All good qualities.
All good qualities. This next principle is a classic. Remember that a person's name is to that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language.
Truth.
I know. I feel so valued when someone remembers my name.
It's like they see you.
They see me. It's like they're acknowledging my individuality.
It's about respect.
It is.
Showing you care enough to remember.
And Carnegie tells that great story about Jim Farley.
Oh, yeah, the name man.
Known for his incredible memory.
Like a steel trap.
For names.
His names, yeah.
And he used that while working on FDR's presidential campaign.
No way.
Sending personalized letters.
How many people?
To thousands of people.
Wow.
And addressing them all by their first names.
That's impressive.
It's incredible, right?
And effective, obviously.
It is. And it makes people feel seen.
Makes them feel important.
It doesn't have to be on that grand scale, though.
No, of course not.
It can be as simple as remembering the name of the barista.
Who makes your coffee?
Every morning.
Makes their day.
It brightens their day. And you create that connection.
Human connection.
Human connection, exactly.
Carnegie also talks about Andrew Carnegie.
Oh, the steel magnate.
Yeah, learning about names as a boy.
What?
Catching rabbits.
No.
Writing down their names, then letting them go.
He named the rabbits.
He did.
And then when he recaptured them,
he'd call them by name.
That's adorable.
It's a great story.
It shows that remembering names, it's not just about business.
No, it's deeper than that.
Or social etiquette. It's about acknowledging each individual.
Even the rabbits.
Even the rabbits.
Yep.
Okay, and speaking of connecting.
Right.
The fourth principle is be a good listener. Encourage others to talk about themselves.
Another one that seems so simple.
I know, but in practice...
It's a skill.
It's a skill. It takes work.
It does.
To really listen.
Deep listening.
Deep listening. And it's not just about being quiet.
No, it's more than that.
Letting the other person talk.
It's about being present.
Engaged.
To
their words, their body language.
Their tone, everything.
Making them feel heard.
Understood.
Which is so powerful.
Powerful gift to give.
Carnegie tells a story about a troubleshooter.
Oh, yeah, the troubleshooter.
Who was able to resolve this customer complaint.
How?
By just patiently listening for hours.
Wow.
To the customer's frustrations.
He just let them vent.
He didn't interrupt, didn't offer solutions.
Just listened.
Just listened with empathy and understanding.
Sometimes that's all it takes.
It's incredible. And it shows that sometimes the best way to help is to just be there.
Be present.
And let them process their emotions.
Powerful stuff.
And Carnegie also points out that most people
love to talk about themselves.
Love it.
It's true.
It's a chance to share their experiences.
Their passions, their perspectives.
So by being a good listener, we're not just making them feel liked.
Right.
We're giving them that platform.
To express themselves.
Express themselves and feel valued.
So important.
And that can create such a strong bond.
Bond of trust.
Trust and respect.
Absolutely.
So these first four principles, being genuinely interested in others.
Okay.
Smiling.
Remembering
names.
Important.
And being a good listener.
The foundations.
They're like the building blocks of positive relationships.
They really are.
Okay, we've talked about handling people, making them like us, but now...
The big one.
The heart of it, right?
Yeah.
Part 3, how to win people to your way of thinking.
This is where it gets really juicy.
It does.
This section's all about persuasion.
Okay.
Not in a manipulative way or forceful.
Not about tricking people.
No. Carnegie's emphasizing winning people over through understanding.
I like that.
Empathy.
Respect,
yeah.
So it's not about shortcuts or tricks.
Yeah.
It's about building those genuine connections
and
then influencing people.
in a way that benefits everyone.
It's a win-win.
A win-win, exactly.
Okay, so the first principle in this section is a little bit of a paradox. You can't win an argument.
Interesting.
I know. How can you win people over if you can't argue your point?
It seems counterintuitive, right?
It does.
But Carnegie argues that even if you win an argument, you often lose something more valuable.
Which is?
The other person's goodwill.
Their respect.
Their respect, yeah.
You damage the relationship.
You do. Arguing puts people on the defensive.
Makes sense.
Less likely to see your side.
They just shut down.
They dig in.
He even tells a story about himself.
Oh, yeah.
Getting into this heated debate.
About what?
Over a Shakespeare quote. Only to realize later that he was wrong.
The ego gets in the way sometimes.
It does.
Yeah.
So instead of trying to prove we're right, what should we do?
Well, Carnegie suggests we show respect for the other person's opinions.
Okay.
Never say you're wrong.
Ooh, that's tough.
It is.
Especially when you know you're right.
Yeah. But even if you disagree, acknowledge their perspective.
Right.
Try to understand where they're coming from.
Find that common ground.
Yeah, common ground.
It's about dialogue, not confrontation.
Exactly.
Okay, that leads to the next principle, which is, if you are wrong, admit it quickly and emphatically.
Oh, this one's tough.
This one is tough.
Yeah.
It's hard to swallow our pride.
It is, yeah.
And admit when we've messed up.
But Carnegie argues that owning up to our errors
without excuses actually enhances our credibility.
Makes us more trustworthy.
It builds trust.
It does.
He shares that example of the man who realizes his dog is off leash in the park. Yeah. And instead of making excuses, he immediately admits his mistake.
To the park official.
And his honesty earns him respect and leniency.
It's powerful.
It is.
Vulnerability can be a strength.
I love that. So honesty really is the best policy.
It often is.
The next principle kind of builds on this idea of understanding. Try honestly to see things from the other person's point of view.
Empathy.
Empathy. Putting ourselves in their shoes.
Walking a mile in their moccasins.
It reminds me of that principle from part 1.
Oh, yeah.
Arouse in the other person an eager want.
Yeah, I see the connection.
They are connected.
They are. To effectively persuade someone, we need to understand their needs, their motivations, their perspective.
Find that sweet spot where our ideas align with what they want.
So it's about alignment.
Carnegie gives the example of the husband who criticized his wife for gardening.
Oh, yeah, spending so much time in the garden.
But once he understood how much joy it brought her,
he changed his tune.
He became more supportive.
It's a beautiful example of how empathy can bridge that gap.
Between two different perspectives.
Absolutely. And it's essential for building strong relationships.
Personal and professional.
Yeah, all kinds of relationships.
Okay, the next principle is a bit counterintuitive. Let the other person do a great deal of the talking. Don't we need to talk to persuade?
You'd think so, right?
I would think so.
But Carnegie argues that the most persuasive conversations are often the ones where we listen more than we speak.
So it's about gathering information, building rapport.
Understanding,
exactly.
Encouraging them to talk.
We get those insights into their thoughts.
Their feelings, motivations.
And when people feel heard,
they're
more open to our ideas.
It's that seek first to understand.
And then to be understood.
Exactly.
Okay, this next one is really interesting. Let the other person feel that the idea is his or hers.
Tricky.
I know. How do we do that?
Yeah.
Without being manipulative?
It's a fine line, right?
It is.
It's not about deception.
Okay.
It's about guiding their thinking.
In a subtle way.
In a way that leads them to the conclusion you want.
I see. So instead of dictating solutions, we plant seeds.
Ask thought-provoking questions.
And let them come to the answer themselves.
It's about empowerment.
It is. And it creates that buy-in.
Yeah, that sense of ownership.
Which you wouldn't get if you just forced your idea.
Exactly. It's about collaboration.
Collaboration and respect.
Respect for their intelligence, their ability to think for themselves.
Carnegie then lays out what he calls a formula that will work wonders for you.
Oh, a magic formula.
I know, right?
I'm intrigued.
He outlines these steps.
Okay.
That, if you apply them consistently, could really improve your ability to win people over.
So it's not just theory, it's practical.
It's a roadmap.
A roadmap, yeah.
Okay, so what's the secret sauce?
Well, it starts with the foundation we've already discussed.
Okay.
Understanding the other person's point of view.
It all comes back to that.
It really does. It's fundamental.
Okay.
Then it's about being sympathetic to their ideas and desires.
Showing that you care.
Yeah, that you get it.
Okay.
Dramatizing your own ideas.
Making them vivid, memorable.
Exactly.
And finally throwing down a challenge.
Ooh, a challenge. Interesting.
So it's a mix of empathy, creative persuasion, and a little bit of inspiration.
It's a powerful combination.
And that brings us to the last principle.
Okay.
Throw down a challenge.
I like it.
Carnegie believed that most people want to feel important. Capable. So by presenting them with a challenge,
you're appealing to that.
We're appealing to their sense of purpose.
Their potential.
He gives examples like Theodore Roosevelt.
Oh, yeah, Teddy.
Who might never have become president.
If he hadn't been challenged.
If he hadn't been challenged to overcome his fears.
To step up.
And Lewis Laws.
Who transformed Sing Sing.
Who transformed Sing Sing prison.
Wow, quite a challenge.
After accepting that challenge to reform it.
Powerful stuff.
It is. And it shows that a challenge can ignite that spark.
It can push people to greatness.
And lead to incredible achievements.
Whether it's challenging ourselves.
Or inspiring others.
To reach their full potential.
Wow, this deep dive into how to win friends and influence people.
Has been quite a journey.
It has. We've covered so much ground.
From handling people.
To winning them over.
To understanding ourselves better.
It's amazing how relevant these principles are.
They really are. They've stood the test of time.
So what's the one thing you hope our listeners take away?
I hope they see that winning friends and influencing people, it's not about manipulation or tricks.
It's not about that surface level stuff.
No, it's about genuine connection, understanding.
And respect. Treating others with kindness.
Empathy.
A sincere desire to see them succeed.
That's the heart of it.
Beautifully said. And for our listeners out there, think about your interactions today. Were there any moments where you could have applied one of these principles?
Interesting question.
And how might it have changed the outcome?
Food for thought.
Because that's the real power of this book.
Yeah.
It's not just theory.
It gives you tools.
Actionable tools to build stronger relationships and create positive change.
In your life and the lives of others.
Go out there, put these principles into practice.
Experiment.
See the difference they can make.
It's worth it.
Until next time, keep seeking knowledge.
And diving deep.
See you then.